to social media and education. Looks like we're ready to start. My name is Scott Bledsoe, and let me advance a little bit, tell you a little bit about myself. I currently work at Azusa Pacific University. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, family therapist, as it says, but I've spent most of my life teaching in K-12. I worked at 49th Street School for probably about 150 years, it seemed like. But I think my heart is still there in a lot of ways. I was a tech coordinator for many years, and so currently teach an online course, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. But that's a little bit about me.
My name is Cabiness, and I teach at a middle school. I've been teaching for about 16 years. I recently finished my master's in educational technology, which is why I'm moving into the field of technology. My kids have been able to benefit from me bringing in many different kinds of technology into the classroom.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with other fans of technology. My name is Elvis Sersea. And I'm really into online learning. I've earned 2 master's degrees online as an online student. I have a master's certificate in internet marketing from the University of San Francisco. I've taught online at the high school and university levels. I'm a webmaster and promoter of hundreds of educational websites. My numerous Facebook pages are at very close to 200,000 followers. And I'm an social promoter as well, so if you see any links, I'm not really going to go into them. I encourage you to just copy them down if you want to look at them later. I work with Allison.com, which has over 264 online courses, free online courses, so I promote them. I also promote BookBoon, which has over 500 ebooks and e-textbooks that are absolutely free. So in addition to all of that, I'm also a part-time graduate level online instructor at University of Phoenix, USL lab instructor for Wilshire Center, North Orange County Community College District, and the founder of Teach Me, Help Me Educational Services. It's a pleasure to be with you.
As I had mentioned, I teach one online course. I have some background as a tech coordinator, but at the graduate level, the marriage and family therapists are my students. And I have basically kind of an interest in bringing in some technological pieces, some programs, partly because it was the students who had told me that they hated online learning. I think it was just right at 100%. When I took this at the assignment the first of last year. So what I want to do today is I want to focus on 2 programs, one of which you obviously know about. It's just YouTube, and some ideas of hopefully how to make that a little more accessible to an online audience. Another one called VoiceThread, which I found a lot of success with. I want to kind of walk you through some of the things that I've done, and hopefully you'll say, well, I like this idea, this one not so good, but maybe I can benefit from some of these ideas as well. So essentially, what I want to talk about is just using YouTube videos, and I know there's some alternatives, which I believe even Elvis will talk about. But for now, the way I see it, YouTube videos are a way of, like I said, visually kind of demonstrating the necessary components. I think it enhances student learning. The second point, creating an interpersonal atmosphere. I had a lot of students tell me through emails or through SurveyMonkeys that I've done about the course, tell me what what a great kind of relationship that they had through my videos. And I think that's kind of unique because even in a face-to-face classroom where you could have, lots of students, they might not have that personal contact, which you can basically kind of establish in a YouTube video. The third point what I want to make is you have a chance to celebrate student work. I'm going to show you a video in just a minute, which basically starts off by showcasing some of the student works that are done, and then I kind of follow up with that. So I think it's a chance really to kind of empower students to see their own work and kind of as a work in progress. And I would want to emphasize that I get permission of the students, all the students, whenever I use their work. You know, I don't want it to be random or something that they'll be like, wow, I had no idea. So, but essentially it can be a very powerful learning tool. I am a PowerPoint fan. And I know we're on a continuum of, you know, there's people in here who love PowerPoint, and the other, it's, you know, the opposite of that. Actually, in classrooms, I'm really kind of in a Prezi kind of a phase right now with classes. I've got a couple of smiles with that. But the one thing I like about PowerPoint is also that you can convert everything to JPEGs. So you can use them as clip art, you can use them as slides and video programs. I'll tell you about the program I use in just a second. And finally, I love adding clip art images, humor. I don't think I'm the funniest person in the world, but if I have a little bit of time to say something and embellish it with some art, I kind of like doing those, and as long as they do augment the lessons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you about a minute and a half of a clip that hopefully will encompass some of the things I've been talking about. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to flip it down. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I am not finding the YouTube. Let's see. I thought it was kind of right there. I apologize. Let's see. Let me click from here. Let's see. Let me click this one here. Apologize for that. So, nope. Let's see. Okay, let's try this.
Welcome to week 3 of the research methodology
course. We have a guitar in the picture.
Course
You can
students
get it.
for allowing me
Really
to use their research hypotheses from the week 1 reading discussions at the opening of this video. I'd like to use the 3 student examples to help us kind of unpack qualitative research methods. And as the name implies, it's more quality than quantity focused research. This research is kind of more about kind of social issues. It's more of a kind of a holistic research approach as well. Is it dependable? Is our research transferable? Is it generalizable, and can we generalize it to other populations?
Okay, I'll stop there, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. Let's see, let me just get to the current slide here. A little bit of an idea of how I use it. I started with examples, again, which I will build throughout the videos because they're attempting to kind of develop research hypotheses. And, but they need to eventually add independent, dependent variables as well. They need to think about populations. Who is their research designed for? And so essentially I've created an atmosphere, as you saw, the text underlying what I said, I could emphasize that maybe in a way that I couldn't do in a classroom. So here's I'm sorry for the trite lesson plan for success, but essentially, I think of YouTube videos as 10 minutes. I believe it might be up to 15 now, but I kind of think of what can I do in 10 minutes? And what I have is like a 3-part plan. The first thing before I get to the parts, this is the program that I use, CyberLink Power Director 9, and being a father of kids and doing a lot of image editing and home videos and stuff, I'm familiar with a lot of programs. I went to PC Magazine, and they said this is their favorite, the number one, about $89, which is basically cheaper than a lot of other models. I say that because it just gives you a lot of, I think it's very user-friendly, and I'll underline that when I say that, as opposed to some of the other things. The Canon FS200, that's the camcorder I use. I imagine you could use an iPhone. I don't know if they make tripods for iPhones, but I'm sure they do. So essentially that could be a fee, something without the fee. 3 quick parts that I like to think of. What's the overview? What am I trying to accomplish? Also is that sometimes I will feature a brief video of somebody within my department who has an expertise in what I'm teaching, and just put them on camera for about 60 seconds, and it really can get my students activated. A lot of people have said, wow, that's a great idea, because they have a passion for something that I might just kind of walk through verbally. I think your on-camera presentation is important. As you see, I kind of spiced it up with some text, which I think is important as well, but it's a way of creating that kind of interpersonal relationship. Let me go to part 2. That's the time when I kind of do a lesson, a kind of coordinated lesson of about maybe 15 to 20 JPEG'd PowerPoint slides, where I'm teaching a specific lessons, embellishing with videos, images, and audio. And then part 3 is assessment. I've got an assignment for them at the end, which usually on a PowerPoint slide, you can see at the bottom right. Sometimes I spice it up. This is what I want from you. This is what I want from what you have heard from me today, and how can you keep up with this? It's my way of assessing them, and I'm really happy with the results I get as well. So for time's sake, hopefully I will, again, at the end, we definitely have plenty of room for discussion and questions and stuff. I want to move on to VoiceThread. Just raise your hand if you heard of VoiceThread in here. Okay, excellent, excellent. And I'm just blown away. In fact, somebody, a woman who's presenting here, Michelle Kapansky, you might have attended her. She's the one in a webinar about a year ago. She really turned me on to this. Wow, this, kind of walked me through it. So I'm kind of happy, I'm happy to be using it. I gave it a trial run in one of my courses in the fall, and the students could do what they wanted. They could do a narrated text, or they could just write their answers in. The students in the fall, basically, they didn't want to deal with microphones, so it was a disaster. So that would be it was almost like just reading somebody else's text. What I did for my research methodology class was to give them like a free pass, assignment pass, and you get 3 points if you go the extra mile and do a webcam or record your voice. And I got almost 100% participation as well. So I'm going to try some of the things that you can see up here. You can really create an interactive environment. You provide it's a dynamic alternative to threaded discussions, which we call dreaded discussions at the college level, is where we have a topic and they have to kind of discuss on top of that. So it really gives, besides just talking about it more, let's see.
Hello and welcome to VoiceThread.
I give my own thread and I tell exactly right here what I want from them. That I want an initial post on a topic. Let me briefly show you what the topics are. One is trauma recall study, negative feedback and weight, and ethics of intervention. I'll show you, but if I open this up a little bit, what the students did for the trauma recall study. Okay, they basically provided where you have just an audio about this. You can read this study that Pennebaker did from Texas.
As I read the brief excerpt on the trauma recall study, the main ethical issue that I see arising is the re-traumatization of study participants in order to obtain information about improved physical well-being.
I'll stop there and show you like one webcam that one of my students did. And I'm checking for content. There's a rubric for what I want from them in the discussion posts. So I'm wanting it to be less recreational and more educational.
Hey there, it's Mike. I'm replying to John on the...
He's doing a secondary post, and when he is replying to someone else's post.
Spoke of was the fact that someone needed to be present while these victims were writing about their traumatic experiences. I thought that was pertinent to...
And so essentially, hopefully I'm giving you a little bit of insight into something that really worked for me. I did a Survey Monkey. I asked what worked, what didn't work, and it was overwhelmingly positive about this way of creating kind of, like I said, an interactive atmosphere with this program that could also be, assessed as well as assessment tool as well. So again, I think my time is about up here, but hopefully you've gotten some helpful tidbits, and I'll be here after the Catherine and Elvis make their presentations if we want to talk about that a little bit more. Thank you.
I'm very excited to share with you a tool that has changed the way my students interact with and learn from each other. The integration of wikis into my curriculum has revolutionized the collaborative learning process in my classes. Students are now readily able to work together as they strive to understand major themes and issues from medieval world history. The collaborative nature of wikis has enabled me to create a community of learners who rely on each other to make sense of the information that is presented before them. The Partnership for 21st Century Skills is an organization that promotes the idea of providing students with the skills necessary to become productive citizens in this global society. Some specific skills to focus upon are collaboration and communication. Because wikis are a collaborative tool, this platform gives students a practice that they need to become active participants in the learning process while giving them the skills to become digitally proficient in this digital world. To begin, a wiki is a web-based tool. There's no software to download. Ward Cunningham created the first wiki software in 1994. The intent of wikis is to promote meaningful discussions. It allows for authors to create pages that are interlinked within a website. Members can add, change, or delete posts. A wiki is an asynchronous communication tool. The benefits of using the wiki with students is the fact that since they can add and edit information, it gives them the power to regulate their own learning experiences. Wiki pages, as well as the discussion tabs, support online collaboration, which means that learning can continue well outside of the traditional school day. Research has shown that wikis can increase student motivation, engagement, and achievement. It is no secret that the simple use of technology in the classroom is highly engaging and motivating for these digital natives. But what is probably more surprising is the notion that the use of wikis has a positive effect on student achievement. Though studies have not positively linked the use of wikis to standardized test scores, there are several studies that demonstrate that the use of wikis have a positive effect on long-term retention of knowledge. Having used wikis with my students for the past year and a half, I can attest to the fact that the integration of wikis into my curriculum has increased student achievement, motivation, and engagement. Because student posts are immediately visible on the web, I have found that my students will edit their posts several times to make sure that they have it just right. And because they know that others will be reading their posts, I believe it makes them more self-conscious on what and how they write. Wikis also support the acquisition and practice of higher order thinking skills. By collaborating on essential questions or controversial topics, students are practicing the skills of inquiry, cause and effect, and change over time. As they post their thoughts, opinions, and responses to their peers, students are engaging in the skills of analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. To what degree do my students engage in these higher order thinking skills depends in part on their motivation to participate in these collaborative online discussions. For my classes, I have chosen to use wiki spaces because it's easy to set up and educators get a free premium account with no advertisements. But there are other wiki platforms out there such as PBWorks. To add rigor to the various wiki assignments, I integrate several different elements: thinking tools, think like a disciplinarian, higher order thinking skills, and historical analysis skills. On the wiki, students have the option to use Sandra Kaplan's thinking tools to demonstrate their understanding of the material. Usually I give my students a choice of which thinking tool to use unless there is a particular skill that they need to practice or demonstrate. Last year, for Think Like a Disciplinarian, I created a 2-week assignment in which students chose a disciplinarian, posed a question for research, and then conducted research in order to answer their question. They worked with students across all 6 of my class periods. Through collaboration on various topics within the wiki, my students practice higher order thinking skills as well as historical analysis skills. Being that I teach medieval world history, I try to give my students every opportunity to engage with the material as a mini historian. Students practice the art of inquiry as they learn how to frame questions for research. They examine cause and effect to understand how things change over time. They learn how to make connections across the time-space continuum, as well as find similar patterns across various civilizations and societies. Historical analysis skills are higher order thinking skills. It requires students to think like a historian as they read, examine, and analyze primary and secondary sources. And I'm able to do all of this with a wiki. To prepare to use wikis in your class, it's essential to not only create a homepage with guidelines for use and helpful hints, but it's also important to set up expectations for student use. I set up a practice page, one for each table. I have 9 in my classroom. I then give my students time to play on the practice pages. It's a good idea to set specific parameters for them to practice, such as how to add and modify text, add links, and pictures. Because I teach middle school, I set up the wiki logins for them. However, for older students, you can simply send them the link to the wiki and they can create their own account. I can only speak from my experiences using technology in my classroom, but it often doesn't work when I need it to, so it's always important to have a plan B ready. This is the current wiki that I'm using with my students. As you can see, the home page contains a brief introduction, think like a historian, which I wrote in order to build a schema for my students. In the navigation bar to the left are the various pages that I used with my students. The top navigation bar on the page contains tabs that will come in handy when using with students: discussion, history, and notify me. The discussion tab is similar to the threaded discussion. Students can begin their own threads. The Notify Me tab is for teachers who want to monitor the various changes to the wiki. Wiki Spaces will generate emails notifying the teacher of any changes to the wiki. It is important to note that any and all changes are recorded within the wiki. The History tab keeps track of all changes to a specific wiki page, but the Recent Changes page in the navigation bar on the left keeps track of all changes on the wiki. Teachers are able to lock pages so that students cannot change or alter due dates. I lock pages after the assignment is completed. For me, the biggest benefit is that wikis allow me to extend learning beyond the traditional school day. Discussions that would normally end once the bell rings can continue for days or weeks depending on the assignment. The fact that students are motivated and engaged when given the opportunity to use technology should not come as a surprise. Kids these days are surrounded by technology and media, but oftentimes there is a disconnect with the school. Introducing something as simple as a wiki might just be the hook that teachers need to get students interested. The fact that there is research to support the notion that wikis help to increase student achievement and learning is another reason for teachers to explore the use of wikis. A further benefit is that students are held accountable not only to themselves but to each other. Collaborative learning via the wiki supports constructivist learning principles. Students are actively engaged in the learning process as they respond to their peers. This type of learning is authentic and meaningful. Students who tend to be very shy in class are often the ones who blossom on the wiki. In fact, wikis level the playing field. Oftentimes, class discussions are dominated by a few outspoken students, but with wikis, everyone is given a voice. The fact that wikis allow students to gather their thoughts together prior to posting supports the EL learner who may need the extra time to formulate a response. The wiki can be as interactive as the students are creative. However, with the benefits come its own set of challenges. There is a learning curve when it comes to using a wiki. Your familiarity with technology may or may not keep you from exploring the benefits of the wiki, but trust me, the benefits outweigh the challenges. Some other challenges to integrating any kind of technology falls along school infrastructure, availability of resources, and administrative support. Depending on the district, school infrastructure may or may not be able to support 36 students using the wireless network. Administrative support is key because technology integration and use is hard enough without having an administration who doesn't believe in the educational value of technology. District policies may prevent you from accessing the wiki from a school computer. My district blocks all blogs and quite a few social networking sites, but that doesn't stop me from emailing the IT department asking them to allow my class access. The bottom line is, with any kind of technology integration, there are going to be challenges. But the question is, how far are you willing to go to get your students excited about learning?
Hello, everybody. For the sake of time, and because Facebook is such a broad subject, I wouldn't be able to fit anything in if I had to show videos or photos or other graphs. So I'm going to leave you with a number of links, and if you'd like to ask me questions after the presentation or you'd like to see some actual realia, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to oblige. I'm Ioan Elvis Sersea, and I've been an ESL, English as a second language teacher, for quite a while. In the early 1990s, I discovered that students who were reluctant writers would interact a lot more in writing if I put assignments in bulletin boards, in forums online. And that kind of got me excited, and I started building many websites and participating in a lot of social networks. So what I'm going to be speaking with you today about is the Facebook page. Now, everyone can have a Facebook account, but you also can create a Facebook page, which is something that I strongly suggest of all teachers. Do not connect your students to your personal account. They don't need to connect with your grandma and your friends and know what's happening in your personal life. Create a page. And with that page, you have some anonymity and you have a lot of control. Do not create a group. The group does not allow you to measure progress, to measure how many are participating, how many are reading your posts, but a page will. And we'll go into that. So what can we do to create Facebook pages successful, educational Facebook pages successful? Obviously, we can talk a lot in our classrooms, but when it comes to being online, we need to be short, precise, clear, and easy to understand. So I believe a Facebook post is about 400 characters. Try to make it as clear and as short as possible. In your posts, I do strongly suggest to use multimedia. Add a photo, add a link to a website, add a link to a Facebook video, or actually a YouTube video. I use links to my EduShare site, and that's my own site, which is similar to YouTube, but it's my own, and no one can close my account but myself. So I strongly advocate that you have your own websites and you connect the content from your website into Facebook, because we are at the whims of social media leaders, and if they want to cancel us, they can. But if we already have our content on our own pages, they're not really doing that much harm if we look at our Facebook pages as a way to promote what we want to share with our students. So try to create multimedia in your posts. Connect it with something visual. If you simply write a post and you put that same post with a video, I've tried this numerous occasions. I've had very few viewers of my posts without videos. The same post with videos would have 2 to 3 times more viewers, if not more. So try to connect some multimedia, some video, some photo with your message. Very important. Create a screencast. Create audio-video tutorials. Now, all of you probably have heard of Jing, right? Camtasia. I use Screencast-O-Matic. It's an easy web-based service that has a free version and has a very inexpensive pro version. And I simply create these audio-video recordings of my screens whenever I want to do a tutorial. I save the file, and then I either upload it on my own site or I share it on YouTube. And then students have the ability of viewing that tutorial. So you can actually put in a 10-minute, 1-hour tutorial into one simple 3-line post. Create strategic, professional, and collaborative partnerships. One word, network. We need to, if we are in an online community, our students network all the time. They connect. If you look at some of their pages, some of their accounts, they have hundreds, if not thousands of followers. They network. We need to network too. We need to show that we don't just do this on our own, but we also have our own role models, our own colleagues that we connect with, that we work with. This is how we engage our students, by bringing in a variety of information. I wrote down here, let me see here, I wrote down a couple of people who I network with. So I want you to think of some of the people you could network with on your Facebook pages. I'm networking with Dan Chabel, personal branding expert, who's published a wonderful book, Me 2.0. I have a page called Literary Web Tools, where I connected with Dan Wimberg, who actually writes an art blog, and he's also sharing some of his work on my Facebook page. So I'm helping promote his work, and he's helping make my page more relevant to a literary audience. I have a friend called Dr. Richard Solomon, and he is teacher training, Jewish educators, mentorship trainer, and I ask him questions whenever I'm not sure of something. I connect with Mauricio Butler, who has presented at the TEDx conference, and he's really into technology and the English learners. So there are a lot of resources out there. Many of them you know. If you don't, you can connect with them and find out how you can take it to the next level. So you need to link to engaging academic web tools and resources and evoke audience response. Imagine being blindfolded or being in a dark room. You will pay a lot closer attention to the voice that you hear. You will think of the intonation. You will think of the emotion behind it. You will start deciding whether that person is somebody you might care about or not, or you might want to listen to or not. Well, everyone is blind on Facebook. All they see are your words. If your words are blank, are uncaring, why would they want to pay attention to you? If your information is here, do this, why would they do it? So link to engaging academic web tools and resources and evoke audience response. Let them know that what you're presenting to them is helpful to them and how it can be helpful to them. As I said before, I have many of my own websites. 4 of my web tools include schoolswebtools.com, studentswebtools.com, teacherswebtools.com, musicalwebtools.com, and I find something from there that might be connected to the audience's interests, and I focus on that, why they might want to work on that. Connecting with Facebook followers, you need to establish yourself as an expert in the field. My English Online Academy page has over 75,000 followers, and I have students from all over the world, over 12,000 from Pakistan, over 8,000 from Philippines and Egypt, and if I just said, I'm just doing a page about English, they wouldn't have come in. But when they heard that I am an English teacher in California, that I know what I'm doing, and I share with them helpful tools, that really attracted more people. You got to show interest with your audience. You have to ask them questions. I know my colleague is using a variety of online poll creation. Facebook recently created its own poll, Facebook polls. I use my own poll creation and hosting service at Students Web Tools. Create and share a calendar of online events. They need to know what to expect. If you just have it fragmented and they don't know what to expect, it might not be a lot of connection there. So again, I have my own, whoops, okay. Well, I'm running out of time, I tell you. This is usually, okay, when I have to go shopping for my wife, I usually have this tone. But I actually, what can I say? Let's see here. Okay, so you have to think ahead. How are you going to keep their interest besides that post? Need to offer live events. Do a webinar, do a chat, do a Skype. I have a Second Life account, and every once in a while we have a Second Life, let's, dress up in your favorite avatar and let's get together. Be positive, enthusiastic. Have a tone that is positive and enthusiastic. A lot of people have problems. We have problems, but if we just bring the problems with us on Facebook, it's not going to make us sexy. Okay, and we want to be sexy on Facebook. We want to be approachable. We want to be people that people want to talk to, not crabby people, right? So show a charismatic personality and show engagement. Respond to comments kindly, warmly, quickly, and clearly. Now, one of the reasons I use my own websites is because I want to measure how participants are interacting with my websites. If I depend on others, I can't really measure that. So use a URL shortener like URL Juice, that's mine, or bit.ly or Google, where you actually can measure how many people actually clicked on that link, where they're from, when they clicked it. And all of this data can actually help you identify what are the best times for you to post on Facebook. Use sites with counters and Facebook-like counters. Again, one of my sites is digitalsocialite.org, which is like Twitter, except that you can actually put videos and photos in. And it has a like button on the bottom, so when somebody clicks on that like, their friends can actually visit my information too. So it's got that viral effect. Make sure that when you look at your Facebook page, look at the page impressions and feedback percentage. Your page impressions, how many times your post was actually seen. And look at the feedback. You want the feedback of over 1.0, over 1%. If it's below 1%, which is typical, that means you need to do some serious work on it to get more attention. So Facebook Insights, you can actually go inside in the Facebook Insights page and look at the page overview, look at the users, look at the interactions, look at the likes, look at the demographics. You could find out which countries your users are from, what age they have. You can find a lot about your users through the Insights page. And again, your interactions are very important. It's not just how many likes you get, because you might have 100 views and just one like. It's not about the likes. It's a lot more than that. So look at the page posts and page activity. You want more than 1% feedback. And think about promoting your Facebook page. You have many options. If you're doing a Facebook page for your English class, let's say, you want to promote it. And you promote it to your students. You promote it in your school publication, on your website, maybe classroom website. You could, for example, if you create a video on YouTube, you could, at the end of your video, say, and don't forget to visit my Facebook page. Okay? For example, I've been competing with Voice of America a lot, and I got to beat them at their own game. But one reason they're so high up, they're at, I think at 65,000 followers, is because now in every video they do, at the end they put, and please follow our Facebook page. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. So if you do that on a regular basis, you'll get more users. Promote to students, promote to your colleagues, promote it to your department, to your school. And the best way to advertise and to get a lot of followers quickly is to spend some money. So Facebook advertising is the #1 way. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars with them, but again, I've had days where I had as many as 5,000 followers, new followers in one day, but you have to pay for it. And Google AdSense, which is very expensive, and I started my own advertising service for teachers, which is domainsuniversity.com. So think about how are you going to create a page that engages your students, and how are you going to promote it to keep growing and not to stay stagnant at 10, 15 students, but in the hundreds or thousands. Your knowledge can be shared across the world, not just to your classroom, perhaps to students in India, perhaps to students in Afghanistan. One of the most heartwarming examples I can give you is connecting with teachers in the Middle East who are English teachers who needed some materials and interacting with them. Having students from Morocco during what happened a few months ago, giving me firsthand experience. So it's an amazing opportunity to connect with the world, to do some good, but you have to do it right. So thank you very much.
Pages too, or the extra pages you can have yours.
Maybe we turn that afterwards, after questions. Maybe right now we could answer some questions that you have, and
how are you guys using Twitter into your social media? Is that a big part of what you're using? Are you using to disseminate? Are you using for mini blogs?
Ready to answer?
Okay, well, one thing about Twitter and Facebook is that you can, when you have a page on Facebook, you can connect it to your Twitter account. So everything that you type into your Facebook page automatically is populated in your Twitter account. So I use personally Twitter as an add-on to Facebook. So I have additional audience on my other accounts.
Do any of you use it as a mini microblogging session to follow trends or anything like that?
I'm actually, I just asked my district for permission to use Twitter in my classroom because I blocked it. So, because I've read a few articles that have just recently come out and it looks really promising to use with kids.
I follow Ashton Kutcher's tweets, and that's about it for me. Seriously, I don't use it.
Yeah, Scott, could you elaborate on the VoiceThread.com software that you use? Is that something that your students have to download? Is it web-based? Are there any plugins that are necessary for it? Thanks.
well, thank you. I believe you need the latest version of Flash, which is free. They need to download that. So I think out of 60 students, I had one who had a problem with that. So 50, meaning 59, always good at math. 59 had told me that there were no problems with that. Essentially, the site itself has its own audio processing system. So if you have your webcam attached to your laptop, if you have a microphone that you can attach to your computer. Again, it was a kind of a trial run over the spring. Like I said, I gave it a shot. In the fall, you can do it with phones as well. You can have a cell phone. You have up to 3-minute responses from your phone. You would text it in. You would not text it, but in the subject line, you would give it a number, and they would have a recording device on there as well. So you can do that from a microphone, like I said, from a cell phone. We have few do webcams. I always give the options for people who are like deathly afraid of technology to type in their responses as well. Okay. Thank you.
Hi. I have a question regarding the last presentation and social networking. I'm trying to conceive of how, what comes first, second, third. Is it like a hub where there's a center to your wheel and Facebook is it, and then you said link everything to that, or is it not so controlled? Do you have like a website, like a WordPress, or what would you recommend on if you have your own website, then you still really need to push on Facebook because that's number one, or how would you describe the schema of all that? Thank you.
Thank you. Indeed, I'm a big fan of WordPress, and WordPress is, you need to have a platform, your own platforms. I have numerous other platforms around Facebook, and I use those other platforms I pretty much promote the information on those platforms through Facebook. I started off by simply just typing in information in Facebook and not connecting to anything else. I don't really think that's the right way. So I would say use Facebook to promote or to create some interaction based on what you already have. I would suggest you start with a WordPress account. There's a company called, let me see, twitterfeed.com. And one thing you can do, let's say that you run out of time or you go on a vacation, you can get the RSS feed from your blog, and it will send it directly to your Facebook page. So you can actually automate it. But again, if you don't have a blog already, if you don't have your own platform already, you'd simply be in front of Facebook all the time coming up with new information. So think of your classroom page, think of information from your classroom page that you'd like to share with people, and link back to that on Facebook.
No more questions?
We have some more.
I'll do the web.
Okay, we have some additional web links that you might find interesting, so if you'd like to write them down, we'll each share some additional suggestions now.
Okay, what I wanted to do, just some of the things that I have used, it's interesting that Elvis mentioned Second Life. I did a research experiment in Second Life with my students as well, so I didn't put that up there. Obviously, we worked on a group blog page. We used AuthorStream, which is a way of downloading PowerPoints in a kind of a unique and again, it's free. So all of these are all free sites. SurveyMonkey, up to 10 questions, and I've done that for years. And they say up to 10 questions, but you can cheat it a little bit. I hope nobody working at SurveyMonkey is like here and outraged. But you can cheat it by doing ratings within the system, so I've been able to do that. Elvis mentioned the instructional videos. Jing, I've only used Jing. You can do up to 5 minutes, so anything I show here, any of this, you can narrate it, and it's been very kind of powerful in helping students understand the question that the gentleman asked about VoiceThread. It's a learning curve. It's for anybody, for our students as well. So setting up, I think on that same page, I had set up my own instructional videos about how to do it, and that's why I think I had so much percent. 59 out of 60 students able to get through 2 posts and go from there. I want to stop here and do a post from polleverywhere.com. I just always find this unique. I like to use this in some of my classrooms. But I've set up this, again, it's just a free account that you can use with students, polleverywhere.com. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard of it. But with students, depending on the age, and again, to teach at grad school, it doesn't matter. They are all fascinated to see what they're doing come right up in front of them. So if you had, I'll skip that, everything. What I want you to do is look at each of these 3. And if you guys can't see, you can come over so we can see it together as well. But here, text a code to 37607 with your cell phones. And let's see in this room, just without me even raising a hand, who has heard, if you've never heard of Poll Everywhere, right here, type in that. If you've heard, remember, starting with your text code, this would be in the subject area. I've heard of it. I've not tried it yet. I've used Poll Everywhere in a classroom or other setting. So I'm going to scale that back so we can see that. So let's kind of see. Hopefully we. Ever heard it? Okay, so we got 8 responses. There's got to be more than anybody else trying or Oh, wow. So,
9, okay.
okay. Because more people haven't heard, so you see the bottom one just went less because the percentages changed. The percentages changed. So I like to use this. In fact, I'm teaching a group in group skills, clinical skills class right now, and there's the last one changed as well. So it is an incredible visual representation. I'll ask questions of how many of you have led a therapy group, or how many of you have done this or that, and I'll put it up there, and it is a great way to launch a class, and people tell me, wow, I really like the way that we spent the first 15 minutes, having a question. We finally have someone who's heard of it, so the middle one. But it is a great launch pad. I know people, you can use it professionally, you can pay the money or whatever, but I love the idea of it exciting students, and this could be, I know I have sons in high school. I don't know anyone who doesn't have a cell phone in high school. This could be done, in middle school as well, to kind of launch the interest in a subject area. So again, we had 15 results here, and we kind of saw this changing right before our eyes, and maybe this is a metaphor for student learning. They're becoming more visual learners. They're more image conscious. So we have Catherine bringing the wikis, that role to us. They are people. They are more tech savvy often than we are. So Elvis has talked about his curiosity, starting with Facebook and branching out at like a hub into other dimensions and other areas. So hopefully this kind of amalgamation ideas has been helpful to you, and we certainly appreciate your coming and joining us today.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For you about VoiceThread, I know that it costs to do more than 3. I wonder if you or anyone knows of a free alternative, and if not, if you really do believe VoiceThread is worth it. And then, I plan to ask for money to get it on our campus, but I wonder, does your campus have a site license? How does that work?
So to have 3, I have done several VoiceThreads and have never been charged for it. I'm not sure what you mean by up to 3.
Create another account.
You can create another account. I know for me, I know what you're talking about. I've checked for that, but I've done 7, have never been charged. So they might like me or whatever, but I don't know if it's liking me. Maybe Elvis, you have an idea for that?
Okay, I hope Google isn't listening, but if you have a Google account, you could put a period in between the letters, and every other webmaster out there will think it's 2 different email addresses. For example, I have Maestro Sersea. Okay, if I put Maestro period Sersea, it's considered a totally different email address by other webmasters, but Gmail will also accept maestro.sersea as well as it will Maestro Sersea, or m.maestro Sersea. So sometimes webmasters don't allow you to have more than one account on the same email, but you could create it. That's a cheap way to get around it. But I do know of I forgot, there is something similar with audio recording that you could do for free. I forgot the name right now. If you contact me, I'll be happy to share with you. We'll go to the next page. Didn't we have a page here? Links. Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, so that's yours. Okay. I'll share some other websites, and obviously because I sleep 2 hours a night, and all I do is work with programmers and domains, all of these are my sites. So quotes and facts, for example, I use quotes and facts quite a lot because I put in there about 6 different websites that are news aggregators, video aggregators, music aggregators. So if I want to find something, I find it on my site. Again, because I have my own sites, I can actually measure traffic, and I can actually see how many people actually visited. So it tells me what people are mostly interested in, so I can create better content next time. Television World is another one of mine where you can access millions of video programs and television stations from over 100 countries and a variety of other movie previews and other things. Digital socialite, I got angry with Twitter. Somebody was asking me about Twitter. And you see, I talk a lot. I can't stand 122 characters. And you look at your Twitter page and zoom. You can't really sit down and read anything because somebody else posts, somebody else posts, somebody else posts. So I got together with some amazing programmers and got this digital socialite going, which actually allows me to name how many characters I want on my posts. It's a microblog platform, and I can embed videos and I can embed photos, and also it has that like button, which again, when I'll give you an example. I have a lot of students who are under 18. A lot of followers on Facebook are under 18. And in order to get them to read, I found hundreds and hundreds of music videos with lyrics. So I just embedded them on my site with English lyrics. So when I put that, I actually see how many people are viewing my videos. So virtually when I'm posting a music video like that, between 3 and 5 minutes, I have more than 500 visits. And it's that popular. So it lets you measure. So and digital socialite, you can create your own site, as many sites as you want. I have one for grammar, one for music, one for reading comprehension. Edu-social marketing, if I can be of any service to any of you who are willing to promote your pages, I have tons of, I would say 95% free tools. Anything from promoting your page to giving you some free advice or connecting with you or showing you the ropes, whatever I can do, let me know. You can go to Edu-social marketing, leave me a message, and we can connect there. But obviously, we need to think of it. I got into Facebook for one reason. I got really angry. I got angry about 2 years ago when I went to one of these webinars by a supposedly expert in social media who called himself a social media scientist from HubSpot, who said that education has no place in Facebook. And as a teacher, I really got angry. And I said, I'm going to show him wrong. And one of these days, when I hit my 1 million mark, I'm going to go back there and I'm going to give him the link to his old webinar, and I'll show him that. But I think if enough of us are doing this, if enough of us are redefining social media and the internet into something educational, transformational, we can make a difference. Unfortunately, the internet, the majority of the internet is used for nefarious purposes. And if we do something that we care about the right way, we could turn it around. I really believe that. That's my whole edu-social movement mentality. So thank you very much.